Have you ever felt like you were running on a treadmill, working harder and harder, but getting nowhere financially? This is the story of Alex, and it might sound a little familiar. Alex was in his early 30s, a successful professional in a bustling city. From the outside, he had it all. A prestigious job, a six-figure salary, and the respect of his peers. He was the picture of modern success. But behind closed doors, a quiet anxiety was his constant companion. Every month, it was the same story. After paying his high rent, car payments, student loans, and covering his city lifestyle, there was surprisingly little left. He was a high earner, but he felt poor. He was trapped in a cycle he couldn't understand. He thought the solution was simple: earn more. So he worked longer hours, took on more projects, and chased the next promotion, believing a bigger paycheck would finally bring him peace of mind. One rainy Tuesday, while waiting for a client, Alex found himself in an old, quiet bookstore he'd never noticed before. He wasn't looking for anything in particular, just a place to escape the downpour and his own racing thoughts. As he browsed the dusty shelves, his fingers brushed against a slim, unassuming book with a simple title about wealth. He almost put it back, but something made him open it. Inside, he read a sentence that stopped him in his tracks. Your salary makes you a living. Your assets make you wealthy. The words seemed to echo in the silent store. Salary makes you a living. Assets make you wealthy. That single sentence became a turning point. Alex went home and for the first time truly looked at his finances not as an income and expense report, but through this new lens. He had a high income, yes, but assets, he had almost none. His fancy car was a liability, depreciating every day. His expensive apartment was just a rental expense. He wasn't building anything that could grow without his direct, daily effort. He was simply trading his time for money, and the more he earned, the more he spent to maintain the image of success. He wasn't a wealth builder. He was a high-paid employee on a golden hamster wheel. This realization was both terrifying and liberating. He knew he had to change his entire approach. He didn't quit his job. Instead, he started to make small, deliberate shifts. He began to see his income not just as money to spend, but as a tool to build with. He started questioning his expenses. Did he really need the latest car model? Was the premium apartment worth the financial strain? He downsized his car, moved to a more modest but comfortable apartment, and started redirecting the money he saved, not into a simple savings account, but into acquiring assets. He spent his evenings and weekends learning. He read books, listened to podcasts, and studied the principles of investing. He started small, buying a few shares in solid, dividend-paying companies. It wasn't much, but for the first time, he owned a tiny piece of a business that worked for him, even while he slept. He felt a new kind of excitement, a feeling of ownership he'd never experienced before. Then, he explored real estate, not the flashy kind, but a small rental property in an up-and-coming neighborhood. It was a lot of work, and it was scary, but he managed it with the same dedication he applied to his career. Years passed. Alex was still a dedicated professional, but the frantic anxiety was gone. It was replaced by a quiet confidence. His life didn't look as extravagant from the outside anymore. He drove a sensible car and lived in a comfortable home, not a luxury penthouse, but his inner world had transformed completely. He now had a portfolio of stocks and a couple of rental properties. These assets were generating their own stream of income, a gentle current flowing alongside his salary. This new income wasn't tied to the hours he worked. It was the fruit of his past decisions, his patience, and his discipline. One day, his company announced a major restructuring. A few years prior, news like this would have sent him into a panic. The thought of losing his job would have been catastrophic, but now he felt a sense of calm. He looked at his financial dashboard. The income from his assets was now substantial enough to cover his basic living expenses. He wasn't invincible, but he was no longer dependent. He had a foundation. He had created his own safety net. For the first time in his adult life, he realized he had a choice. He could stay, he could leave, he could take a break, he could start his own venture. His work became a choice, not a necessity. This was the freedom he had been chasing all along. It wasn't found in a bigger paycheck. It was found in the quiet, steady growth of his assets. Alex learned that true wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you own. It's not about the size of your salary, but the strength of your balance sheet. It's the shift from being a consumer to being an owner. It's about building systems that work for you, so you don't have to work forever. His story is a simple one, but its lesson is profound. It's a reminder that financial freedom doesn't begin with a promotion or a lottery win. It begins with a change in perspective. It begins the moment you decide to stop just earning a living and start building a life. What does wealth mean to you? It's a question worth reflecting on. True financial peace often lies not in chasing more, but in building something that lasts. Thank you for watching.